All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Hucker. I'm the president of the Montgomery County Council and the chair of the Transportation and Environment Committee. I am thrilled to be here. After discussing this bill for many years, I am thrilled to be here to announce a bill that my team and I have been working hard on for months that will serve as a critical tool to help us realize the ambitious climate goals that we have set and we are committed to in Montgomery County. I want to recognize Councilmember Friedson, who's joining us, for co-introducing this important piece of legislation, and for Councilmember Reamer, who's co-sponsored it, and all my colleagues who I hope will support it very soon. Let me thank Tom Deo and Steve Morrell at the Montgomery County Green Bank for working with us on the bill, and all the advocates that have contributed to the thoughts involved in this piece of legislation. We have to take swift, united, and decisive action on climate. And we know we need to act with urgency, particularly after the international meeting at COP over this past week. In recent years in Maryland, we've seen more frequent and more intense natural disasters and extreme weather events. Just in the last year in our own community, we've had temperatures rise repeatedly over 100 degrees. We've had historic rainfalls and floods and unprecedented, unfortunately, fatal flooding. So now is the time to make certain that we make this planet healthier and more sustainable and more livable for our children and generations to follow. Back in 2017, 4 years ago, this county council passed unanimously a resolution that set our climate goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2027 and reaching 100% by 2035. It's indisputable that we're way behind on our goals. The council funded our climate action plan, which it was an important step forward, but unfortunately did not provide us with the quantitative analysis that we still need to know which steps we need to take moving forward. We've passed other policies and funded programs that move us closer to our goals, but we need to be much more aggressive in responding to climate change. And I believe all my colleagues in the county executive all agree on that. And that starts by addressing our biggest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions, which are our building sector. The building sector accounts for over 50% of emissions, with over half coming from commercial buildings. The council recently received, and the Transportation and Environment Committee has taken up the Building Energy Performance Standard from the Executive's Office. The bill sets to a minimum standard for energy performance for our existing buildings. This bill is a big step in the right direction, but what it lacks is a pathway and the financial incentives to make sure that we can implement it effectively. This is a challenge for a few reasons. One is the imbalance. It puts all the burden on the private sector and not the public sector to make expensive retrofits to our building stock. That creates a particular implementation challenge in Maryland, where we have a cap of a $1,000 fine under state law that we can impose on any building owners that are non-compliant. In other jurisdictions that have passed similar legislation, they have stronger penalties. So we have to work with the private sector to make sure that we have a bill that will actually work and be implemented and help us reach our climate goals. We expected to receive this bill in 2019. I know it was delayed and we received it in 2021. In 2019, we were in the middle of an economic expansion. Now we're in the middle of a historic recession. And many of our building owners don't have the capital that they would like to invest in improving their building stock and making the energy efficiency improvements that they would like. Our building owners have repeatedly said that they want to save on their energy bills, to improve their building stock, but they can't do it alone. They have been significantly impacted, as all of us have, by the COVID-19 recession. We have long had forward-looking, well-financed owners like the tower companies, the Duffy Company, who have voluntarily invested millions of dollars in energy efficiency improvements in their buildings. And if every building owner did that on their own, we would not need to legislate anything. But most owners don't have that luxury. Every owner I know is now dealing with vacancies, with increased delinquencies due to the recession and increased utilities and repair costs. So many of them don't have the extra funds that we need right now to make the hefty investments in energy efficiency improvements, and we can't force them to because of the modest penalties that are allowed under state law. So that's why, if we're serious about meeting these goals, I believe the county must provide real financial support to those owners who need it and use our limited public financing to leverage additional private financing that's available as well, particularly at this time. So that's what brings us here today. I was inspired to write this legislation at the request of many environmental groups and business leaders both. AOBA testified earlier this year that they strongly support dedicating some of the annual fuel energy tax revenues to financing energy efficiency or renewable energy commitments to existing commercial and multifamily communities. While the county has invested in sustainability initiatives, increasing available financing to such a large level would be a game changer for the county's efforts to reduce carbon dioxide and other harmful pollutants from one of the county's leading energy categories, the built environment. And many energy efficiency advocates have said the same thing. That's exactly what our climate efforts need, a game changer. Addressing the urgent threat of climate change requires investments and a concerted partnership between the government and our private sector. So for months, my team and I have been working hand in glove with climate advocates, leaders in the building industry, and the Green Bank to assess a financing mechanism that will make energy efficiency retrofits more affordable for owners of commercial and multifamily properties. Councilmember Friedson and I are proud to come together today with our partners in the private and the nonprofit sectors to introduce Bill 4421. This historic bill will dedicate 10% of our county energy tax revenues, nearly $20 million annually, to the Montgomery County Green Bank. And the Green Bank, which helps residents and businesses access funding for clean energy projects, will leverage the funds in private and public markets to provide much greater access to capital than is currently available to support the clean energy financing in Montgomery County. And this is particularly timely because Green Bank funds can be matched with the state and the federal funds that are now available because of the federal infrastructure bill. The Green Bank is an amazing tool, and I've spoken to my predecessor, Councilmember Roger Berliner, who chaired the T&E committee before me, quite a bit about this. He was there at the birth of the Green Bank and sponsored the legislation. Today, I feel like we're at the college graduation of the Green Bank because the Green Bank can leverage starting capital 4 to 5 times what we put in. If we pass this legislation, we'll be able to put up $100 million a year on the street in grants and loans and incentives for energy efficiency improvements. The Green Bank has been an underutilized but powerful tool in the county's toolbox to move forward public-private partnerships to meet our climate goals. This will offer a critical financing tool for our property owners and lead to a major reduction in our greenhouse gas pollution. At the end of the day, this bill changes course to start putting us back on track to meet all our climate goals. In 2017, this council unanimously declared a climate emergency. If you're an emergency, you can't afford to delay action. You can't keep doing things the same way. You have to drop what you're doing and address the emergency, and that's what this bill is all about. If we're serious about addressing our climate emergency, it's going to require serious investment from the public sector as well as the private sector. This bill is just the first step. It's a commitment to our businesses and property owners that will work in partnership with them in our county's transition to clean energy. And it's a commitment to our climate and energy advocates that will put our money where our mouth is. They remind us all the time that we need to be taking bold steps to address climate change. It's a commitment to our children and the next generation who call Montgomery County home. Our children, our young people, and our future generation deserve bright futures to look forward to in a livable county. So I look forward to introducing this before the council during tomorrow's session, and I'm excited to hear from our guests who have joined us today. With that, let me introduce Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you so much to Council President Hucker. I am so pleased and proud to be here. He mentioned his predecessor as chair of the Transportation and Environment Committee, my predecessor as a District 1 council member. And so it is really a great day for me to be able to stand here and to take this next step for the Green Bank that my predecessor in this role in this seat helped to create. And Council President Hucker and I have been talking about how to dedicate funds to tackle climate and to provide the Green Bank with the resources it needs to help our residents meet this climate crisis for a couple of years now. And the timing is more urgent now than it has ever been. And so I'm so pleased and proud to join him, to join the team, to join this coalition that has come together in order to make sure that we respond to climate change, which is real and which requires a response that is just as real. It can't just be rhetoric that we respond to climate change with. It has to be real solutions that provide real results. That's what this effort today is all about. And we can't solve the climate crisis by just sowing conflict, by just pointing fingers and putting the responsibility and the burden on somebody else. The urgency of response to the climate crisis is all of our responsibility, and that should start with the public sector. That should start with us in government, and that requires us to be the convener and the coordinator and the collaborator that brings together the private sector with the public sector and says, how are we going to tackle this crisis together? And that's what this is. This is about working together in public and private partnership to do what we know needs to happen in order to tackle this existential threat to our families and to our future. The Green Bank has really stepped up in recent years, has really built out its portfolio. And we know that our community and our businesses and our residents desperately want to do the right thing. It's not the interest in retrofitting buildings, which represent 26% of our carbon emissions in Montgomery County. It's the resources that so many businesses and so many residents lack in order to be able to put forward these projects to actually address the carbon emissions that they have. What this effort will do in working with the Green Bank, utilizing their core competency, leveraging, we hope, additional resources from the federal government and the state government to be able to supercharge these efforts, to help nurture nature in the marketplace, to help provide the type of resources needed for those who desperately want to do the right thing to help tackle this crisis, but lack the resources on their own to do it. Together with leadership in government, with partnership with the private sector, we can tackle this. This is one of many steps we have to take. It builds on the previous effort that we did with the green energy building tax credits that we put forward, which was also a public-private partnership, which also brought people together. And it is absolutely critical when we talk about raising the bar for our energy standards, particularly when it relates to the building sector. We can't just raise the bar and not provide a ladder to help people get over it. This is about raising the bar, raising those standards, and then creating a ladder that provides the opportunity for residents and businesses to actually reach our ambitious goals. Today is a significant step in that direction. We will be introducing this legislation tomorrow. We need to move it forward as quickly as possible. We need as much support as we can get. And then we're going to be relying on this partnership and this collaboration and this consensus that we've been able to build to actually get real results to bring down our carbon emissions and tackle this crisis that we're all facing together. Thank you to Council President Hucker and his team for their leadership and partnership. I'm honored and pleased to join with him and Council Member Hans Riemer as a co-sponsor, and look forward to working with the Green Bank and our partners in this effort to tackle this crisis together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Friedson. Let me bring up Tom Deo from the Green Bank.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Councilmember Friedson. And also thank you to Councilmember Riemer for introducing this legislation. A lot of great language in there: game changer, urgency, ladder, and that's all about what the Green Bank is, right? The Green Bank's proud to serve the county and help it achieve its substantial greenhouse gas reduction goals. We applaud the county for its foresight in setting up a Green Bank that takes the limited public funds that you heard Council President Hucker and Councilmember Friedson talk about, and then take that money and create a much larger pool of resources that then can be made available to county residents and businesses to actually invest in those improvements that are essential to their reducing energy in their properties and reducing their greenhouse gas emissions and contributing to the reduction of the county's greenhouse gas reduction goal. That word urgency is clear. We have worked on our products. We've worked with our financial partners to create the financial products, and we're getting urgent calls now. Our pipeline is growing as we keep getting more and more calls on a weekly, daily basis of parties looking for investment, looking for financing in order to help them solve their situation. So it's an important time for this to be there. We've heard about buildings. In one particular area, the Green Bank is focused on helping building owners undertake clean energy measures, such as energy efficiency and renewable energy. By working with banks, we created financial offerings that allowed for affordable, low-cost financing for those building owners then to invest in those improvements and reach those savings that they were so importantly wanting to get to, the energy savings, the greenhouse reduction goals. The power that this new public funds is going to bring to the Green Bank is it's going to substantially increase the amount of private capital available to support those kind of clean energy activities and help the county meet its goals, because we're going to turn that public investment into many times its values. How do we do that? We take that public funds, we go into the marketplace, we look for financial partners, and we try to understand where is their reluctance to be in this marketplace. Where is it that they need support to provide more capital into the marketplace? We then partner with them. We find ways to bring our capital behind them in order for them to feel more comfortable. And then they bring that multiple of capital into the market. We take our money, we get 3 to 4 times it because we're using their money to actually invest in those projects. To date, we've used that money to do things such as guarantees, credit enhancements, and investments in partnerships with these financial institutions operating in the county. And through that, we now have special loans with tailored underwriting terms and interest rates. They can go for commercial, they can go for residential, multifamily, nonprofit, agriculture. All those parties out there can access these loans and take advantage of it to make those improvements. With the additional funding provided by the fuel energy tax, the Green Bank can create a vast new set of financial benefits by using this resource, as mentioned, to attract substantially more private, state, and federal sources, including that of the National Climate Bank that was just introduced in the Build Back Better bill that was legislation that's out there. So this additional resource will help the Green Bank to extend our current offerings to more partnerships and more availability of loans. It will also allow us to establish an even broader array of flexible financing tools that a resource without this would limit us. So we're keenly situated to be a key partner for the bank. This influx of resources will create the capacity for the Green Bank to meet any needs of the property owners to undertake their energy savings improvements, including all of those associated with the Climate Action Plan or any proposed building energy performance standards. We welcome the opportunity to use these funds in flexible ways to meet the property owners' funding needs, to achieve energy savings goals, and to serve in a manner that deliver equitable outcomes across the county. So thank you, Council President Hucker and Friedson, for introducing this bill. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for being such a great partner, Tom. Let me introduce Brian Glasser, the president of Glen Manor Condominiums. Brian, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Brian Hauser. I'm president of the Glen Manor Condominiums, and it's a 32 residential complex located in Silver Spring near the Forest Glen Metro Station. I'm here today to support the bill sponsored by Council President Hucker and Council Member Friedson to help provide the dedicated funding to fuel energy from the fuel energy tax for the operation of the Montgomery County Green Bank. An organization that has been critical to helping Glen Manor update its aging heating and cooling infrastructure. Several years ago, the Glen Manor community decided that we needed to upgrade our heating and cooling facility since it was 70 years old. So some of the pipes, some of the equipment was 25 years old. So we went out and looked to all different resources. We talked to federal, state, anybody that would listen to me, which ultimately I was funneled over to the Green Bank, which worked out pretty well for us. So basically, last year, the Green Bank helped us obtain an affordable loan in the amount of $500,000 that we probably could not have gotten if we just directly went to a bank. They had the contacts for the banking. They helped us with Pepco rebates. So they were very involved with the whole process for us. We were able to replace our aging heating and cooling equipment, and the efficiencies that we garnered from doing that has really helped our bottom line. We are projecting to save about $5,000 annually with these upgrades. And we have demonstrated this by comparing our bills from last summer to this summer, showing marketable decrease in our electricity use. We're currently working with the Green Bank to determine if we want to put solar panels on the roof of our building. So we're in a process with them. They're kind of a one-stop shop for us for things that we need. In conclusion, the Green Bank has been instrumental in helping Glen Manor update its critical energy components and reduce its carbon footprint. The Green Bank needs the necessary financial support through the proposed bill to continue being a viable entity to Montgomery County residents in order to meet the county's energy efficiency goals. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you so much. And let me introduce Diana Younce from the, sorry, you're not with the Tacoma Park Mobilization. Are you with them today? Okay, please. Diana wears many hats. Thank you so much for all your guidance on this. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Hucker, for inviting us to join you today for this important initiative to facilitate significant additional financing for the Montgomery County Green Bank from a portion of the fuel energy tax. My name is Diana Younce, and I am here on behalf of Tacoma Park Mobilization Environment Committee, but I'm also speaking today on behalf of the 14-member organizations of the Montgomery County Climate Action Plan Coalition, a coalition of 14 groups, including groups like the Climate Mobilization, CCAN, Bethesda Green, 350 MoCo, and a number of others. When we have all come together to fight together and to advocate for comprehensive, consequential, and equitable action to address the desperate situation we currently find ourselves in, and to take immediate and robust action to address the county's climate emergency. With the county officially recognizing 4 years ago that we are in a climate emergency, the CAP Coalition supports every effort possible to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and work in partnership to help the county meet its ambitious climate goals. We applaud the work of the Green Bank in contributing positively to green development. I personally am able to am in the process of getting solar panels put on my house, in part through the county's sponsored solar co-op, which gave me reduced costs, and I got attractive financing through the Montgomery County Green Bank. So it's an incredible tool, an incredible resource for addressing the climate emergency. And we congratulate the Green Bank CEO, Tom Deo, for his leadership in all of this. The initiative being announced today is important to the success of the Building Energy Performance Standards legislation that was introduced by the county executive. We expect that the funds allocated under the energy tax bill can be applied to existing buildings to implement measures and transition from fossil fuels as implemented by the BEPS bill. And obviously some groups are already taking advantage of MoCo financing to facilitate increasing their energy efficiency. This will be a significant investment in helping building owners address the energy consumption and meet the county's climate goals, and in tackling one of the most important environmental issues, building energy consumptions. Buildings constitute 50% of the county's greenhouse gas emissions. Commercial buildings are 26%. We can't meet the county's or the world's goals without addressing buildings. We hope that this important legislation to invest in the Green Bank will ultimately identify a minimum level of investment, and that the diversion of these funds to the Green Bank will not result in any reduction in investment in other climate actions. As we applaud this energy tax bill as a useful tool in the climate toolbox, we do urge the Council to move expeditiously to enact the BEPS legislation itself, knowing the importance of this environmental effort in reducing greenhouse gas emissions from buildings in the county. Council President Hucker, we are proud to live in a county whose residents, county executive, Department of Environmental Protection, and the county council members all share an interest in protecting the environment and fighting climate change. And a special shout out to Lindsay Shaw, Emily Curley, and Stan Edwards in the Department of Environmental Protection. We're facing a climate emergency indeed, and the county council should do all it can to fight the climate change and help the Department of Environmental Protection deliver on the goals outlined in the recently completed Climate Action Plan. We have to equitably improve building efficiency, expand access to solar power, expand bus rapid transit, combat storm water runoff and pollution, invest in urban reforestation projects, and ensure that every government action passes a rigorous climate test. You have a lot to do. And as discussed, there's no time to waste. But with Councilman Glass and Reimer and Friedson supporting you, we are confident we can succeed. For now, funding energy conservation through the fuel energy tax diverted to the Montgomery County Green Bank is a laudable step, and we appreciate your leadership in introducing this much needed legislation. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Diana. Sorry, your t-shirt threw me. I'm glad you're here on behalf of the whole Climate Action Plan Coalition, all 14 groups. And thanks to Emily Curley for being here and for all the countless hours you put in to producing the BEPS legislation. We really appreciate it. Okay, are there any questions for anybody? Or can we warm up?
I have a quick question.
Hi, Randy.
Go back in time. Where are the funds being going from? So I guess the funds from the energy tax. Where have those funds been going up until this point?
They just go into the general budget, so they can be spent on anything in the county budget that the council decides.
So this would now.
It sort of fences off a portion of that. 90% would still be available to the rest of the county budget, but it shows the public and stakeholders that we're serious about the climate emergency by fencing off 10% for energy efficiency improvements of our building stocks.
And right now we think that's about $20 million.
Correct. Steve always has a question. Okay, it's a historic day. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate it. Take care.